Hello there, former fanatics and current scholars. Welcome back to the fifth and final part of the Isengard Army review. I have two things left to discuss, and that is the Demolition Team and the Ballista. These are two very large profiles, so let's go ahead and dive into this and get it done. So, starting off with the Demolition Team, its composition is two Uruk-hai warriors with sword and one Uruk-hai berserker with a flaming brand and berserker blade, and one demolition charge. The potential options here for weapon upgrades is you can give the Uruk-hai warriors a flaming brand for 1 point, giving all three members of the team a flaming brand. And that's very important because you do need that in order to attempt to detonate the charge. So looking at the charge, there's a whole list of page. We'll just whole page of rules listed for it, so we'll just go ahead and just talk about it real quick. So moving the charge is a heavy object as described in the rule books, and it can never be carried by mounted models. Detonating the charge. To use a demolition charge, it must be dropped. A model with a flaming brand in base contact with the charge, which is also not engaged in combat, may attempt to set it off at the start of the fight phase. The model attempting to set it off must pass a courage test. If it fails, it cannot detonate the charge. This is usually why people try and do it with the berserker that has the brand, because courage 7, very unlikely for you to fail. However, a good option is to pay a point and give it to those Uruk-hai warriors, because if for whatever reason that berserker is killed from shooting or blasted away by magical powers or immobilized or something of that nature, that would make it incapable of detonating the bomb on the turn that you really need it to go off. Having the brand on the other two Uruk-hai warriors is a potential ability to get it to set off. So when it explodes, a demolition charge automatically strikes everything within 2 inches of the model, gate, doors, and of course any models, friendly or foe, that are within range. Each target struck automatically takes d6 wounds, regardless of its defense value. So cavalry models take d6 wounds on both the mount and the rider. So that means if you're taking d6, you're taking a minimum of 1 wound. So you're very likely going to die. Let's just put it that way, okay? Desperate detonations, and this is where I was talking about why you want to take brands. Without a burning brand, causing a detonation is hard. Any model from the same army as the demolition charge may attempt a desperate detonation at the start of the fight phase, as long as it is in base contact and not engaged in combat. So same as higher up, when we're talking about detonating the charge, you still have to be in base contact and you still have to not be in combat. It must also pass a courage test as normal. For each model attempting this, roll a d6. If one or more d6s or one or more 6s are rolled, the charge is detonated. Roll on detonation table is normal. So if you succeed to detonate, you have to roll on the detonation table. So the detonation table is on a 1. On a 1, it's a dud, and the charge has been damaged, and in some way it did not go off. So remove it from play. On a 2 through 5, it's an instant reaction. The charge catches instantly, explodes in a roar of smoke and flame as described previously. So it will go ahead and do those d6 wounds. Then on a 6, it's a titanic explosion. The powder in the charge detonates with colossal fury as described previously, but inflicts d6 wounds rather than 2d6 wounds, rather than d6. So you have the potential of doing 12 wounds to something, which, let's put it this way, doing 6 wounds alone sucks. I'll just be blunt, because if you can deal 6 wounds, that means any 3 fate, 3 wound hero, they're just dead. They just went squished. And this has actually happened to me before, where my Imberhill literally got hit with 6 wounds and just exploded into a messy red pulp. So yeah, it sucks. So going back, let's look at the special rules. A model carrying a flaming brand, we're talking about flaming brands, cannot use a two-handed weapon if it has one. So the berserker that's equipped with the flaming brand and berserker blade, he can't go two-handed with his hand and a half berserker blade. If a model carrying a flaming brand is killed, the brand is extinguished and lost in the chaos of battle. See, and this is again why, once more, it's important to go ahead and give those Uruk-hai that flaming brand. Attacking the charge. The demolition charge can be shot at normally, has defense of 7 and 3 wounds. If the charge is wounded, roll a d6 per wound inflicted. On a 6, the charge immediately detonates. Roll on the detonation table as normal. So this is a potential way to stop it. Is since it's being carried, you can see it usually, as long as it's not like really hidden. Take some shots at it and potentially kill it. So even if you don't get it to blow up on your enemy, which would be awesome, just wounding it and destroying it is awesome as well, because then you can escape the need to worry about having your Imrahil or Aragorn or Gandalf, or let's even put like a Sauron in there. Sauron's only got 5 wounds. Or having, like, if you're playing with a Balrog going from 10 wounds to 6 wounds or 4 wounds, something like that would really suck. So take some shots, see if you can't do something about it. Moving on. A demolition charge that is wounded by another demolition charge will be detonated in a roll of a 4 up rather than a 6. So, like I said, if a demolition charge goes off nearby, then it's potentially they can go up. All right. If brought to 0 wounds without exploding, the demolition charge is shattered and the powder scatters harmlessly on the ground. Remove the charge from play. An enemy model that spends a fight phase in base contact with the demolition charge and is not engaged in combat may automatically disable it. Remove it from play. So that's the demolition team. There's a lot there. As you can see, it took almost 6.5 minutes to talk about. Pretty powerful though. It's very present in the Assault on Helm's Deep Legendary Legion. You see, if folks are taking that, they usually have a demolition team. Personally speaking, I've played the Assault on Helm's Deep Legendary Legion, and I actually don't take one. I know that's counterintuitive to what I just said, but I do not take one, and that's just me. It's kind of expensive at 80 points. I can get, 5 Berserkers for that. My math is right. 15 times 5, 75. Yep. So I can get 5 Berserkers for that point cost. To me, it's just better to take that or, 10 Warriors than 3 and have to kind of puppy guard this thing. That withstanding, it is very powerful still all the same. And I might play around with it and see what I can do at higher points values. Like, we are planning a 1,000-point event, and I would be curious to see what that does. So moving on, the second one, and I'm sorry already, this is going longer than I wanted because I'm talking about stuff, is the Isengard Assault Ballista. The crew for the Ballista is a large siege engine crewed by 3 Uruk-hai warriors wearing heavy armor. One is armed with a sword, one is armed with a dagger, and the other carries an assault ballista bolt, which is a pike. So yes, he can be pike supporting. Any additional crew purchased will be equipped with heavy armor and a sword. One of the crew is automatically the siege veteran. All crew members have the Uruk-hai, Isengard infantry, and warrior keywords. And that's important because I haven't talked about it yet, but I will at the end. The army bonus. So special rules: piercing strike, piercing shot. If a shot from an Isengard assault ballista hits a battlefield target, then they will suffer one single strength 9 hit. Additionally, if the target has a strength 5 or lower, they will be knocked prone and flung d6 directly away from the ballista. Any model that the target passes over will also be knocked prone and suffer one single strength 6 hit. If the target comes into contact with a piece of impassable terrain or a model that is strength 6 or higher, then it will immediately stop and be knocked prone, and both the target and the obstacle or model, if it has defense value, will suffer one strength 6 hit. So really good for disturbing enemy lines, and I've been playing with this since, like I said, I have been playing the Assault Legendary Legion. Very good for potentially shooting and taking out enemy banners, hurling a guy through enemy hero that's mounted. I've done that and taken a not Glorfindel. I've taken Glorfindel off their horse that way. Really great, really great. 2 other special rules. One that we don't really see much, but I'm just going to cover it because it's here, and that's raise the ladders. The assault ballista can attempt to raise a ladder to the enemy battlements in the shoot phase. To do this, the controlling player must first nominate a point on the battlements within range, and which at least one crew member and the machine have line of sight to. Roll to hit as usual. If a hit is scored, the grapple is struck home. If the machine misses, there is no further effect. When the grappling hook hits a single siege ladder within 6 inches of the wall base below the target point, is moved forward to the walls and raised immediately. All ladder carriers dropping drop their ladder as it is raised. Any of the carriers can grab the top of the ladder and ride to the top as it ascends. This model is then placed as if they had climbed to the top of the ladder that turn, which means that they count as charging into combat against the defender at the top of the tower, if there is one there. Furthermore, the defender will receive no benefit from defending an obstacle in the turn that a ladder is raised in this way. Okay, so that's a lot, and you don't see this at all in match play, but if you are playing any of the narrative scenarios, that is very likely to be needed. I have not played any of the narrative scenarios that would require this, personally. There is a lot of them, especially in the main rules book, and especially if you go back into the old supplements, or even back to the, I don't want to say the Dark Ages, but the Dark Ages is the best way to describe it, from the original release books of the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, and Return of the King. There are a lot there to choose from. Moving on, because again, this is looking more strictly at match play, and that entire thing is useless for match play. We have the last special rule, and that is accurate, and that is the Isengard Assault Ballista will only scatter 3 inches rather than 6. So that's really good also. So that covers everything in the Isengard Army. Let's talk real quick about the army bonus, and that is you do not know pain, you do not know fear. Friendly Isengard models do not start to take courage tests for being broken until at least 66% of the force models have been removed as casualties. Additionally, Lurtz, Ugluk, Mahar, Vrasku, Uruk-hai Scout Captains, and Uruk-hai Scouts gain the Woodland Creature Special rule. So that just means that those guys can all walk through woodland terrain as though it was regular terrain. Okay? Just one last thing real quick. I'm looking at the allies matrix now, and Isengard actually is not a green ally with anybody. They are impossible allies with a good many things, but they are not green allies with anything. They are convenient allies, though, with the Varrigs of Khan, the Serpent Horde, Moria, which is kind of weird, but I guess it kind of makes sense, Mordor, Farharad, the Easterlings, and the Corsairs of Umbar. Everything else, they are red allies. Oh, excuse me. So you usually only see Isengard taken in one of the new Legendary Legions. There's a lot of them, and maybe I'll make a video just talking about Isengard Legendary Legions since I'm finishing up Isengard. But yes, that is everything Isengard related. I hope you guys really enjoyed this 5-part series. Isengard's definitely one of the bigger armies to tackle. Mordor is the next big one to tackle, or Moria. They're both of them have a lot of models. But if I do another army review that is large like this, I'll probably break it down and do it this way again. So I hope you guys prefer that method. I hope you enjoy keeping these videos shorter. This one is the second longest, I think. Maybe the third. I do apologize. I was trying to keep them at around the 10 to 15 minute mark. So I'm right there at the 14-minute mark now. So thanks for watching. Again, I hope you enjoy. Please like, share, subscribe. And if there's an army you'd like me to talk about, leave a comment below and I will get to it. Take care.